You don't have to take your dog on neighborhood walks. But if not neighborhood walks, what should you do instead? Well, that depends on what needs you're trying to meet. Let's think about the needs that we're typically trying to meet on a neighborhood walk. Mental enrichment is typically one of the biggest enrichment needs being met on a walk, assuming that the dog is consenting and is in a good learning brain. Sensory stimulation is another one. Social engagement as they're walking with us, or perhaps they're walking with friends. It may serve as an outlet for species-typical behaviors like foraging, tracking, digging or chewing potentially. Physical exercise is usually the main thing people think about, but I wouldn't even say it's the main need being met. It definitely belongs on the list though. But it's worth noting that often when people think about the benefits of physical exercise, we're often talking about cardio, which an adult dog is usually not getting on a neighborhood walk. So if neighborhood walks aren't an enriching option for our dog, and the goal is to meet those needs that I just listed, we could potentially replace that with something that is similar but more enriching for our individual dog than a neighborhood walk. Or we could look at a variety of different activities that meet those needs. If we're looking for outings that are similar but more beneficial for our dog compared to a neighborhood walk, we have a lot of options. One of my absolute favorite options, if it's accessible, is to get out into nature. Walking in nature tends to be a positive for our dogs and for us. We're a lot less likely to run into our triggers out there. And it's good for our nervous system to listen to birds. We can go out using a long line so our dog has more room to move their body, or we may be able to find somewhere where it's safe for our dog to be off leash. Unlike many neighborhood walks, walking in nature may also allow our dogs to build physical exercise benefits like proprioception. And it can help us avoid overuse injuries that come from walking on a flat surface like pavement or cement. It's easier to increase a dog's agency out in nature. Options for finding where to get out in nature can include using the AllTrails app and filtering for lightly trafficked trails. Check the reviews, see when the most recent reviews were, and confirm that it is indeed lightly trafficked. I haven't used it myself, but I've heard the OnX Off-Road app can be a really great place to find public land where you can go with your dog and you're likely not to run into anyone. Google Maps can be another great place to look for green spaces. Cemeteries and graveyards can be a really great option. Schools or churches when they're not in use. Love Sniff Spots either through their website or the app. Sniff Spots can be an excellent option, and there are options like people's yards, but depending on where you live, you might find places that are multiple acres and potentially fenced or unfenced, often out in very rural areas, and those can be. And if none of that is accessible right now, whether it's because of your dog's behavior concerns, or perhaps because of their physical health, perhaps because of your physical or mental health, that's okay. Remember, at the end of the day, the need isn't dog has a walk. The needs are mental stimulation, social engagement, outlets for species-typical behaviors, sensory stimulation, physical exercise. Ooh, and I would throw agency in there. Although I don't think that's always present on neighborhood walks, but it can be if we're intentional about it. There are many ways to meet those needs that aren't walks. So many of my clients carry a lot of shame and guilt about not being able to take their dog on walks. And these are usually dogs who are also not able to take walks that are enjoyable or enriching or good for them. There's more than one way to meet these needs.